Lewis Hamilton is nothing more than Ferrari's backup option. They would much rather have the young and hungry Max Verstappen behind the wheel than an aging F1 veteran. Let's have a look at this shocking revelation in today's video. Stay tuned. Lewis Hamilton confirmed in February that he's leaving Mercedes to join Ferrari at the end of this season. While Hamilton won't be ending his time with Mercedes with that 8th world title, he's still back to winning races. Returning to the top of the podium at the British Grand Prix, his 9th win at Silverstone, Hamilton secured his first victory in 945 days, breaking a drought that stretched back to the 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. He then added a second win at the Belgian Grand Prix, after inheriting the top spot when his teammate George Russell was disqualified for a technical issue. Russell's W15 was found to be 1.5 kilograms underweight. This has led Dutch driver Tom Coronel to say that Hamilton still has what it takes to win another world title. He shared his thoughts with Formula One magazine, saying, "Lewis Hamilton is and remains a top driver who could secretly take another world title. And I would grant him that wholeheartedly. He won recently in Belgium and before that at Silverstone for the 9th time. It was all down to luck, but he just pulled it off." But the 52-year-old is sceptical that this will happen with Ferrari. He believes that for Ferrari to succeed, they need more than just Hamilton. They need Max Verstappen. Verstappen is the key to them becoming world champions. "I'm really looking forward to Lewis at Ferrari," he continued. "I think it was a masterstroke by Ferrari that they took him, but of course they would have preferred Max. Ferrari can only become world champions with Max. They won't succeed with Hamilton. He is second choice, but better second than third." In fact, the Dutch racing driver thinks that by swapping silver for red, Hamilton might find that his move to Ferrari could actually place him behind Mercedes on the track next season. "You can see from everything that Lewis is already saying goodbye to Mercedes and vice versa," he added. "You know from Hamilton that he is preparing for his farewell because after Ferrari there is nothing more. Ferrari red is every driver's dream, but count on him waking up a few times next year bathed in sweat. Because then he will just be driving behind the Mercedes in his red Ferrari." Speculation about Max Verstappen's future is heating up as we near the 2026 season. With the motorsport world closely watching, there's plenty of chatter about Verstappen potentially making a major move. Reports suggest that Mercedes is still considering the Dutch driver as a possible addition to their team, and that this possibility is still very much on the table. Eddie Jordan has raised the possibility of Max Verstappen joining Mercedes, saying he would be anything but surprised if the move happens. Though the Dutchman is contracted with Red Bull until the end of 2028, there's talk that he might look for an early exit. Aston Martin has recently been linked with a bold bid for his signature, but Mercedes seems to be the frontrunner, given their long-standing interest. Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley are set to leave Red Bull soon, with Newey reportedly heading to Aston Martin and Wheatley slated to become Audi's team principal next year. These departures have led Jordan to say he wouldn't be surprised if Verstappen joined Mercedes sooner than expected. He told F1 Insider, "The turmoil at Red Bull, the departures of Adrian Newey and Jonathan Wheatley, cannot please Max and his father. In addition, Mercedes has turned the corner and is getting stronger and stronger. I would therefore be anything but surprised if Max switches to Mercedes in 2026. Why does every team on the grid seem to be willing to do flips just to get Verstappen? Is he really worth all the trouble?" The numbers tell the story. Red Bull has noted that the difference between Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen is down to Verstappen being half a tenth per corner quicker each lap. Perez has been struggling recently, contributing only 28 points over the last 8 races and falling 146 points behind Verstappen. This slump comes at a time when Red Bull faces increased pressure, with McLaren closing the gap to just 42 points. Despite this, Red Bull's senior management has decided to keep Perez alongside Verstappen beyond the summer break, following a meeting to assess his position. Red Bull is now working on ways to support Perez and help him return to the form that saw him achieve several podiums earlier in the season. However, Red Bull chief engineer Paul Monahan has admitted that the noticeable gap between Perez and Verstappen can largely be attributed to Verstappen's superior driving ability compared to his teammate. "I don't want to be rude to Checo, and he could very well take my head off if he was sitting here," Monahan said. "But I would say, in general, Max is a little quicker than him. Let's say a circuit has 20 corners. The difference per corner is very small. Maybe Verstappen gains half a tenth per corner, which adds up over a lap. He gets to the limit and stays a little bit closer to it and doesn't go too far over it in qualifying when he overdoes it. If that's the difference, then the average will show up as a number eventually. If that's the objective measurement, so be it. I think there's a little bit more, maybe. But Perez is pretty good, isn't he? Perez's struggles have become more noticeable as the competition has tightened up, with McLaren and Mercedes emerging as consistent race winners. Monahan suspects that Red Bull's reduced advantage is due to rivals addressing the car limitations that made the RB19 so dominant last season. If you look at our lap time as a yardstick, it's a competitive car, he argued. And we've had a good start to the season, which has been nice. But clearly we're under a bit more pressure now. In terms of strengths and weaknesses, I think I was asked last year, what makes it so good? It has the same issues as the other cars. They might just be smaller and we're able to get a bit more lap time per corner. They all have the same characteristics of the entry behaviour, the behaviour through the apex of the corner, and the issue of the stability of the exit. Unless we are allowed into other teams' garages, debriefings and data, then it is quite difficult to judge. Red Bull's lead in the Constructors' Championship has been shrinking week by week, and former F1 champion Damon Hill believes they could be in serious trouble. He suggests that Red Bull might be at risk of losing their top spot in the Constructors' Championship this season. The Austrian team has struggled recently, managing only one podium in the last 4 Grand Prix. Their lead in the Constructors' Championship has been cut down to just 42 points, with McLaren and Ferrari closing in fast. While Max Verstappen's performance hasn't been as problematic as teammate Sergio Perez's, the defending champion has gone 4 races without a win and hasn't been on the podium for the last 2. Hill, who won the Drivers' Championship in 1996, believes Red Bull is in serious trouble and could be overtaken if they don't make big changes between now and the end of the season. While speaking on the F1 Nation podcast, he said, "I can see it being very difficult for Red Bull to hold McLaren back. There's a lot races to go yet and McLaren have come into the sweet spot. Also, you've got Mercedes now coming on song as well, so I think there's going to be slimmer pickings for constructors' points for Red Bull. With Perez's future murkier than swamp water, Red Bull have plenty of options to choose from should they decide to give up on the Mexican. One of them is Visa Cash App RB's Yuki Tsunoda, who has warned Max Verstappen that he's prepared to fight hard if he gets the chance to replace Sergio Perez and become Verstappen's new teammate for the 2025 season. The Japanese driver is having an outstanding campaign and, with 14 races completed, he currently leads his experienced teammate Daniel Ricciardo 22-12 in their head-to-head matchup. With 7 top 10 finishes in 14 Grand Prix, Tsunoda's performances have caught the attention of Red Bull's leadership, with Helmut Marko particularly keeping a close eye on his progress. Meanwhile, Perez continues to struggle, and his stint with the Milton Keynes-based team could be coming to an end at the season's close. While talking to Racing News 365, Tsunoda said, "I think I can fight hard with him. I won't make life easy for him, for sure. Obviously, he's very fast and he's very consistent. So Drivers' Championship-wise, I wouldn't say I have massive confidence that I can straight away beat him in the Drivers' Championship from the first year. If Tsunoda is given the second Red Bull seat, he believes that working alongside Verstappen will help him grow as a driver. I have confidence that I can fight hard against him, and there is a lot of things I can learn. If you're a really bad driver and driving a good car, you're still a bad driver and will easily lose positions, so that's why he's able to win consistently. So, those things, for sure. I can learn a lot." Is Yuki Tsunoda the most viable teammate for Max Verstappen? And more importantly, will Verstappen even be driving for Red Bull when the Japanese driver gets called up? Tell us what you think in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.